It was a Tuesday morning, nothing unusual, no thunderclap, no omen in the sky. The coffee machine sputtered like always. Our 6-year-old son Noah was watching cartoons too loud in the living room, and Samantha was humming along to some half-remembered Taylor Swift song while brushing her hair. And yet, my entire life cracked in half before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. It happened in a second. Samantha's phone vibrated on the counter. She had left it there while grabbing laundry from the dryer. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't even looking for anything. But when you see your spouse's phone light up, you glance. It's human. That's all I did. A glance. And I read this. Last night was amazing. I miss you already from a contact named D. I blinked. Not because I didn't understand the words, but because my mind refused to process them. My hand gripped the coffee mug harder. My heart stuttered, then pounded. Not like fear, but like something primal waking up. Something that had been asleep far too long. Who the hell was D? The message sat there, glowing quietly on her lock screen like a small bomb waiting to go off. I didn't pick up the phone, I didn't try to unlock it, I just stared. Long enough for the screen to dim again and return to black. When Samantha returned, she smiled at me, warm, unguarded. Laundry is finally dry. Did Noah eat his waffles? I nodded. She picked up her phone without glancing at me and walked off toward the bedroom. And just like that, the moment passed. But something inside me had split. Samantha and I had been married for 8 years. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, one of those rooftop things where no one knows more than 3 people and everyone pretends to like IPAs. She had been standing by the drinks table, looking bored, and I'd made a joke about how none of the labels made sense. She left. Not politely, really left. That was the first time I saw the way her eyes narrowed when she smiled. And it's the thing I remember most clearly now when I try to picture the version of her I first fell in love with. She worked in communications, freelance now, from home, smart, intuitive, the kind of woman who made even strangers feel like they were the most important person in the room. People liked her, loved her even. So did I. We bought a small 2-bedroom house on the edge of the suburbs 5 years ago. Quiet neighborhood, a swing set in the backyard, pumpkin carving every Halloween, couples game nights, matching Christmas pajamas, the works. We weren't wild, we weren't dramatic, but we were stable, or so I thought. Looking back, there were signs, tiny ones, like the way her phone started living face down on tables, or how she used to ask me to help pick out photos for her Instagram stories. And then one day she stopped. At first she said her account was aesthetic focused now and didn't match family content. I didn't think much of it. She smiled at me, slept beside me, laughed at my jokes, but I think part of me already knew. Maybe not what she was doing, but that she was drifting. She was present in the room, but absent in the warmth. The touch on my arm became lighter, the kisses shorter, the gaze less certain. Still, I never imagined that message, that emoji, that word Nantam miss. It didn't sound like a fling, it sounded like intimacy. People think betrayal hits you like a slap, but for me, it was more like standing still while the floor slowly disappears beneath you. I didn't confront her that day. I couldn't. Not because I was afraid of what she'd say, but because I was afraid of what I already knew. That once I asked the question, there'd be no taking it back. No more pretending we were okay. No more movie nights or backyard barbecues without a silent ghost in the room. So I said nothing. I kissed her goodbye as she dropped Noah at school. I went to work. And I thought about that message every damn minute until the sun went down. I searched for D in her life. I thought back to every friend, co-worker, vendor, or client she ever mentioned. I came up empty. Nothing matched, nothing that justified a text like that. That night I watched her, not in a paranoid way, just closely. She scrolled through her phone on the couch, smiling slightly to herself, like someone replaying a memory. I wondered, was it about him? Was she remembering last night? And then something terrible clicked inside me. Last night, she had said she was at her friend Amanda's house for a wine and decompress night. I hadn't even questioned it. I kissed her forehead and said, "Have fun." God, how stupid was I? I couldn't sleep. It didn't matter how much I told myself to wait, to be rational, to talk to her like an adult. The moment I closed my eyes, I saw that message again, hovering in the dark behind my eyelids like it had been burned into my vision. Last night was amazing. I miss you already. It wasn't just the words, it was the emoji, the intimacy, the implication of history. This wasn't a first-time sleep. This was a routine. Samantha fell asleep easily that night. She always did, curled up on her side of the bed, back turned toward me, legs pulled up slightly like a coma. I lay next to her with my hands on my chest, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was lying beside someone else's wife. Someone I didn't know anymore. I didn't touch her phone. Not yet. I wasn't ready for truth, not the kind that changed your address, but I started watching. Over the next 3 days, I took notes, literal notes, in the back of an old sketchbook I kept in the garage. Page 1 was titled The Question Mark. I noted the times she was working late on her laptop. I tracked when she went on errands that took longer than they should have. I memorized her passwords, not to hack but to understand. She reused most of them across our devices. She trusted me. That made everything worse. On Friday, when she said she was going to Amanda's again for wine night, I didn't argue. I just said, "Have fun." She smiled, and something inside me died a little. While she was gone, I sat at her desk. Her personal laptop sat open, no password. She never thought to lock it. She worked from home after all. There wasn't much to hide, until there was. I opened her browser. 3 tabs were active: Gmail, Pinterest, and something called Finsta. I'd heard the term before, short for fake Instagram. A private account people used to post things they didn't want on their public profile. Her username was nothing like her real one. Just a string of letters and a dot. Rose.glass.june. I clicked. The account was private, but she was already logged in. There were 47 posts. None of them included me or Noah. No birthday cakes, no beach trips, no Christmas trees. Instead, there were abstract quotes about desire and self-discovery. Grainy, black and white selfies of her half smiling in cafe mirrors. A close-up of her hand over someone else's, though you couldn't see the man's face. One post, dated 2 weeks ago, stopped my breath cold. You make me feel like I'm not a wife, or a mother, or a person who folds laundry and pretends that's enough. With you, I'm just me. The caption was, You reminded me I still exist. I sat back in the chair. The world tilted. For a full minute, I couldn't move. She wasn't just cheating, she was reinventing herself, piece by piece, away from me. I opened the message tab. I know I shouldn't have, I know, but once you see the door, you want to know what's behind it, even if it kills you. There were dozens of messages, all to at D.Walker, 1990 photos, screenshots of Zoom meetings where she called him her secret adrenaline, clips of her blowing kisses to the camera, and voice notes, short, intimate, playful. I clicked one. Her voice came through my speakers, soft, breathy. I thought about you all night. Every time he touched me, I wished it was you. My lungs stopped working. I clicked into this profile. It was public, stupidly so. Daniel Walker, 33. Works in commercial film production, lives in the city. Multiple photos of cameras, behind-the-scenes sets, and yes, one photo where Samantha stood with her back to the camera, wearing a dress I'd never seen before, on a rooftop I'd never been to. Caption, "My muse. She hates being photographed. I do it anyway." He'd posted it 3 days ago. 3 days. She was in our bed that night. I wanted to scream, to throw the laptop out the window, to drive to wherever he was and demand an explanation. But instead, I just sat there. I think it's because my brain hadn't caught up yet. Because when betrayal is that deep, your body protects you by going numb. The tears don't come right away. The rage doesn't ignite on cue. It simmers quietly until the moment it explodes. The decision didn't feel like a choice. It felt like gravity, like something inevitable that had been pulling me closer every day since that first message. I told myself I wouldn't do it, that I'd be better than that I'd confront her like a man. not like a thief, but some nights silence becomes a scream, and you just need the truth, raw, ugly, undeniable. It was 2:46 a.m. I lay in bed beside Samantha, staring at the ceiling again. Her breathing was soft, rhythmic. Her face barely lit by the dim glow of the baby monitor from the hallway. Noah had fallen asleep with the night light on, shaped like a tiny rocket ship. I could see the faint red reflection of it across the hallway wall. My heart was pounding. My palms were damp. Her phone was on the nightstand, face up this time. Maybe a test, maybe a taunt. Maybe she just stopped caring if I found out. I reached over, slowly, lifted it, brought it near her sleeping face. A soft click, and then the screen opened. Face ID unlocked. I didn't even know where to start. I opened messages. My thumb trembled as I scrolled. She barely texted me these days, but her thread with T pinned to the top. Dozens, no, hundreds of messages, every few hours, every single day. Some were innocent, some weren't. D. Thinking about your mouth again. Samantha. Be patient. Maybe you'll get to see it tomorrow. Another. Samantha. He kissed me goodbye before leaving for work. I felt nothing. Then you texted and my heart started again. I read until I couldn't anymore. This wasn't a one-night mistake. This was a second life, a parallel world where I didn't exist, where I was the one-night stand she kept forgetting to mention. The messages went back 9 months. Photos, plans, voice notes, reservations, even pet names I had never heard before. They had gone on a weekend trip to Asheville together. She told me she was at a friend's healing retreat. I remember how radiant she looked when she came back. I remember telling her, "Whatever you did this weekend, it worked. You're glowing." She had smiled and said, "Maybe I just needed to breathe." God, it wasn't just sex. They talked about books, about music, about films they wanted to see together. She shared things with him she hadn't said to me in years. There was a message 2 weeks ago. D. I want to wake up next to you for real. No lies, no sneaking. Samantha. Soon. I promise. That word hit me like a slap. We had made promises too, on an altar, in front of everyone we loved. I scrolled further, until I saw this. D. If he ever finds out. Samantha. He won't. He doesn't look at me that closely anymore. That was when I knew I was done. I didn't mean to, but something inside me broke, so loud I think it leaked into the air. My breath came in gasps. I set the phone down too hard. She stirred. Michael? She whispered, blinking. What's wrong? I looked at her, really looked. Her hair was messy, her eyes puffy with sleep. She looked vulnerable, human. Not like the woman in the mirror selfies I saw earlier. Not like the woman who sent voice notes filled with longing to someone who wasn't her husband. I held up the phone. Her phone still unlocked, still open to her messages with him. She stared, and in that moment, she knew. She didn't ask, "What's that?" She didn't say, "It's not what you think." She just closed her eyes. I waited, and then she said the softest, most cowardly thing she could have said. I didn't mean for it to go this far. She didn't cry, not at first. She sat up slowly, hugged her knees, looked everywhere but me. I asked, "How long?" She didn't answer. I asked again, "How long?" Her voice cracked. "Since February." It was October now. 8 months of lies. 8 months of her body beside mine while her heart was somewhere else. 8 months of faking bedtime stories with our son while planning new ones with another man. I just stood there and said the only words that mattered. "You're not who I thought you were." And she finally started crying, but it was too late. I grabbed my bag from the closet, didn't even pack, just walked barefoot through the hallway and out the front door. The air was cold, the silence outside deafening. As I sat in my car, hands gripping the wheel, I realized I wasn't mourning the marriage. I was mourning the illusion of it. I didn't go far. There's something pathetic about running away from your own life at 3 a.m. with no destination. I ended up at a 24-hour gas station 2 miles from our house. Sat in the lot with the engine off, hands gripping the wheel until my knuckles hurt. I wasn't crying, I wasn't angry, I was blank, completely, terrifyingly blank. I had just confirmed the worst thing a husband could fear, and still my brain kept trying to problem solve. like I was still in the role of husband, still expected to clean up the mess. What about Noah? Where will I sleep tonight? Should I tell anyone yet? But deep inside, another voice whispered, "It's over. You know that. You just haven't said it out loud yet." I called Jeremy, my best friend since high school, the guy who helped me survive college, hangovers, and my dad's funeral. He answered on the third ring, groggy. "Mike, it's 3 in the morning. What? I need a place to stay." He didn't ask why. By 3:30 a.m., I was in his guest room, lying on an unfamiliar mattress with a borrowed blanket and my feet dangling off the edge. It smelled like old carpet and cinnamon air freshener, and somehow that was comforting. Better than sleeping beside a stranger I used to call my wife. The next morning she called, not to apologize, not to beg, just 3 words. "What about Noah?" It shattered me more than the cheating, because she said it like he was a question, a problem to divide in court, not a child, not our child. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I texted back, "I'll come get him tomorrow afternoon. He shouldn't see us like this." Over the next 72 hours, I went into what I can only describe as emotional triage. I found a short-term rental on Craigslist, bought 3 new shirts and a $19 toothbrush from CVS, called in sick to work with the vague excuse of family emergency, texted my mom, "We're okay, don't ask anything yet." And I made one more list, a private one. Phase 1, disengage. No more text, no conversations beyond logistics, no opening old photo albums or rereading our vows. She was no longer my wife, she was now a situation. Phase 2, lawyer. I didn't want revenge, I wanted closure, quiet, clean, final. I scheduled a consultation. Phase 3, contain the fire. No social media posts, no venting to mutual friends. I wanted to keep dignity where love used to be. She could post selfies and cryptic captions all she wanted. I'd stay silent, because silence is louder than bitterness. 3 days later, I returned home. She wasn't there. She had taken Noah to her sister's for the night. I walked through the house like a stranger, picked up only what I needed. Clothes, laptop, a framed photo of Noah and me at the beach. I didn't take wedding photos, didn't take the ring, but I did take the wooden box I built our first year of marriage. It used to hold notes we'd leave each other, other little scribble, "I miss you" and "You looked beautiful last night." I opened it one last time. Inside were only 3 notes. The last one was hers. "You make me feel safe, like I can finally stop pretending." I folded it, put it back, then closed the box forever. That night I slept in a room with no photos on the wall, no sound but the hum of the fridge, no scent of lavender on the pillow. It was awful, and it was also clean. I was alone, but I wasn't lying to myself anymore, and that was the beginning of peace. You don't win a breakup, you survive it, and even then, barely. No one walks away from betrayal stronger. You walk away limping, maybe more aware, maybe more awake, but never victorious. The world doesn't hand you closure with a ribbon on top. It hands you silence, and waits to see what you'll do with it. It was a Tuesday, exactly 1 month after I left. We met at a neutral place, her lawyer's office. No eye contact, no conversation, just papers, signatures, a quiet hum of a printer spitting out the final version of what used to be a marriage. She wore a black turtleneck, her hair was down, no makeup. She looked tired, older. Or maybe I was just seeing her clearly for the first time. When the last page was signed, she finally looked up. "I never meant to hurt you." I nodded, and then I said the only honest thing I could offer her. "But you did?" He didn't understand. Not really. We told him Daddy was going to live in a different house for a while. That sometimes grown-ups need space to think better. He nodded like it made perfect sense, then asked if my new place had waffles. The first night he stayed over, I made pancakes instead, burnt them. He laughed, said, "Mommies are better." I smiled, said, "I know." He still asks about her, not in a sad way, just curious. Kids don't understand betrayal, they only understand absence. So I never badmouth her, even when I want to, because no matter what she did to me, she didn't stop being his mother. And I won't teach him to hate love, even broken love. She sent one more letter, handwritten, 3 pages. I read it once, didn't respond. She said she was in therapy, said she regretted everything, said she didn't know who she was back then. I wasn't trying to replace you, she wrote. I was trying to replace the version of me that couldn't breathe. I didn't need her to say that. I needed her not to do it. But I understood. Painfully so. There's no good guy here. Just two people who stopped speaking the same language and didn't realize it until one of them found a new translator. Some nights I still wake up reaching for her. Phantom habits die hard, but most mornings I make coffee in a quiet kitchen, watch cartoons with my son, text my brother dumb memes, read a book in bed and fall asleep with the light still on. Life goes on, not dramatically, not triumphantly, just forward. The house I rent now is smaller, fewer rooms, fewer photos, but more peace, more space to feel without worrying who's lying across from me. And that space, it's sacred now. The moment you stop begging someone to stay is the moment you start coming home to yourself. I wrote that in my notebook last week. I'm not whole, but I'm healing, and that's enough. The divorce is final. Noah splits time between us, she's still with him. Daniel Walker, they've gone public now. Posts, hashtags, even anniversary captions. I don't follow her, but sometimes her photo pops up through mutual friends. It doesn't hurt anymore. She's no longer my wife. She's a chapter, a scar, a name on paper, and a ghost in old playlists. And me, I've learned to sleep alone, to cook terribly, to laugh again without bitterness. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'll walk into it awake, unashamed, free, and for the first time in years I'm not pretending anymore.